Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be creating some ephemera for some junk journals. I'm going to be making some pockets, maybe some tuck spots or tags or journaling cards. I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to be making because what I'm going to do is something similar to what I did for the 100-day project last year, where I'm going to set a timer and I'm just going to work really intuitively with some things that are on my desk, some things that I have in my craft cart over here. I have sort of a to-do ephemera making drawer over here to just sort of randomly make some things. And so I want to use those up. So I have some papers here. This set right here is actually from a new paper pack that I have in my shop, which is called choseninCrafting.com. I'll have that linked down below. But I also pulled out some ledger that I have had in my stash. And I do have some of that, I think, in the shop as well. And then I have some beautiful music paper that's just like really large. And so I think I might break that down and make those into some pockets as well, just kind of a mismatch of papers. I also have some other things, I have some paper from Coco Daisy over here, kind of off to the side. I also have some printables that I sort of started already turning into ephemera. They're coffee dyed on the back. I added some coffee dyed paper, and so I may decorate those, but I found that when I was doing the 100-day project, I set a timer for myself for like 15 or 20 minutes a day, and I just cranked through as much as I could get through in that 15 minutes. So that's basically what I'm going to do for today. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes, and I'm going to make some pockets and make just kind of whatever speaks to me as I'm working through here. I know that I want to create some pockets first and foremost. So I have some examples kind of here of some of my favorite ones to make for my junk journals. And so I will definitely be using these papers. That's why I pulled some of these specific ones out to make these pockets. And but I want to just start with the bases, and I'm trying to keep all of the bases really neutral. That way I can decorate them per project. And so I don't know how much decorating I'll get done today. We'll see. Maybe I'll try to do a few things, or I may do some off camera and then just kind of show you how they ended up. But for now, I'm just gonna put you on fast forward. I'm gonna go through and make as much as I can and see where we end up. So let me put you on fast forward and I'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to start off with one of my favorite pockets to make out of larger pieces of paper. And this one is actually pretty tall. This is from a manual for Fortran computer programming from like the 70s. And I love it because it's got just charts of numbers and, you know, the whole thing. It's just so cool. I love this paper. And so this is in one of the new paper packs on my shop. But I loved all of the diagrams, and I just thought it was really fun, and the paper weight is really nice too. So I just started with folding it down the middle lengthwise, and then I'm folding up from the bottom, and I did fold that top sheet basically back on itself just to kind of create a little tuck spot there, and then I will glue that down the length, and then I'll glue the pocket down as well. This is just a really great pocket. It's very versatile. Depending on how you glue it, you can end up with, 4 different pockets. You can see here I'm putting a thumb notch in that one section there, so that becomes a pocket. And then if you glue it down only on 2 or 3 sides, then you have another pocket, and then you have the 2 pockets in the smaller pockets in the front. So this is one of the papers as well. You can see when I removed it from the book, I kind of messed up the edge, so I'm going to tear that off and then just kind of straighten everything up. I knew that it would be okay because I had extra, I knew I needed to trim it down anyway. But this is a great way to use maybe some larger book pages if you have them, especially vintage papers, because the vintage papers are nice for the patina and some, it just adds interest already to the background of your pages. But, sometimes depending on the size of your journal, they may be too big. So oftentimes I'll use like my leftover glue book pages to create smaller pockets, but they only, create a certain size. Like if I'm using a Reader's Digest or whatever condensed book, they are a certain size, and I like to use those for smaller pockets. But sometimes it's hard to know what to do with some of these bigger papers, especially if you're not making a super huge journal. And so using them to kind of make some larger pockets is a great way, because they sometimes will even take up you know, most of a page or a full page, and it just gives a lot of interest to a journal, especially if you need something kind of on the back side of a printable that might be white or whatever. It's just a good way to use it. So I like having a variety of sizes of pockets and different shapes and things. And so these are going to be kind of tall, skinny pockets that I'm working on right now. Still, again, folded it lengthwise, but now I'm taking that one side, I'm going to fold down that corner, and then I'm going to fold or glue up the side, and then I'm going to fold that bottom section up. And so that creates like a tall, skinny or pocket, and it actually creates a pocket on the back side too, if you saw how I folded that. And so that might be something that you could clip in, or if you, sometimes, you know, when I send out a journal, I oftentimes add extras. And so something like that would be just a fun way to send some happy mail or some ephemera or whatever, or clip it to a page if you want to, or you can glue it down and just, you know, not worry about the little pocket on the back side. But here's another page that's just larger. This is a heavier weight paper, so I didn't want to do a whole lot of folding with this one. You can see I actually struggled with this just a little bit because it was heavier weight, and I had messed up that one little fold in the front, so I had to open that up and then refold it. But this is the same fold of that or pocket earlier. And again, this is just a paper that has, you know, a graph or chart on it. And I really like using pages like this in my, for my pockets, because they're very easy to just decorate. It just kind of becomes, you know, background when you add different things to it. And of course, when you're filling the pockets, all of that gets covered up as well. And so this was actually one of my favorite pages. It ended up being my favorite pocket, I think, and I haven't decorated it or anything, but because I don't know that it needs it. This is like an architectural drawing, and it is just beautiful. I absolutely love it. So I wanted to make sure I needed to shorten it just a little bit, but I just don't think that I'm going to add anything to it because I really love it just like it is. And I'm going to do the same thing to make this so that it is got multiple pockets. So where I'm gluing this down here at the base, it will have a pocket, and then at the top I'm going to glue that as well. I didn't even cut a thumb notch there though, but I'm just gluing all these down, and then depending on, again, how you kind of glue this down into a journal, if you just do the two sides, you know, you end up with a tuck spot and then another pocket. So you get a lot of real estate out of these pockets this way. And that architectural one is just, I love how that one looks. I'm very excited about that one. And then these are some of my pages that are just a little bit smaller, just from a book. This is another, engineering book or something that I had. And I love this one because it had the person's writing in it where they were kind of like working on these formulas and things. And so I tried to keep some of that writing as well, but this was just a very simple pocket, folded in half and then folded up from the bottom. And then this is another one of the pockets that I really, really love to do. Again, I'm using that computer programming paper for this because it just makes it a nice size. And I think I've shown this actually before, maybe even on a reel on my Instagram channel, but this is not a pocket I created. I can't remember even who I learned it from. It was someone on Instagram, I can tell you that, and I apologize that I don't remember, but it's just been a long time ago. But I like creating this. I like doing this with large paper, like that first one that you saw, and I like creating it with these smaller pages as well. And these make really good pockets if you're wanting to send a bunch of ephemera to somebody. If you like, I like to create journals and send extra things along. I can fill all of those pockets. There's multiple pockets. There's like 4 or 5 pockets depending on how you do it. And so there's a lot of real estate in these little pockets. And if you don't like the little peaks up at the top, you can trim those straight across, and it's a great looking pocket as well. So and now I wanted to create one of the pockets with this beautiful music paper. Again, just a really large page, but this the weight of this paper is so good that it's going to be really good for a pocket because it's not too thick, but it's got a nice weight to it, so I'm not worried that it's going to tear or anything like that. So I did take off basically like the bottom stanza of the music because it was just a little bit too tall for what I wanted. If you were working, maybe, you know, if you do a lot of journals that are, you know, 8.5 inches tall, where you take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and fold it in half. But I don't really do that. A lot of that size, usually the tallest mine are it's about 7 inches. Once in a while I do them that large, but most of the time mine are just a little bit smaller. So I'm just trying to make sure that these will go into specifically some of the journals that I have coming up that I'm working on. So, and I loved the way that this paper came from obviously a bound book of some kind. And so I left that edge because I really like that. I just think it adds a little bit of more texture and visual interest on there. And so I did glue on both sides of those holes that were kind of running down the edge. And then I wanted to use this ledger, but even if I were to tear it down just a little bit where that white space is, it was still going to be too wide. And I really love ledger, so I'm going to use that for something else. I'll probably just use it as a page in a journal. But I did pull out this ledger, which was just a little bit more narrow, and I tore that in half, and then I'll just make a little pocket out of this one. This one was a little bit more brittle than some of the other pages, and so I just want to make sure that I do a really good job of gluing this down. It'll still be strong enough to hold everything. It'll still make a great pocket, and of course I love ledger in all its forms, so I need to cut a little thumb notch here. This is just a really simple pocket but I like it because, again, it has a lot of real estate depending on how you glue it down. So you can get 2 or 3 pockets out of this, technically 4 if you count that front pocket as well. So and then I have this other page. This is, again, another one of those Fortran programming pages. I did need to trim that a little bit as well, and I'm going to do the same type of pocket. So again, depending on how you glue this, if you wanted to, you know, really make it nice and sturdy or whatever, you could just glue the whole thing on itself and only have the 2 pockets. But if you leave them open, then you end up with extra space to store things in there for your journals or your tags or your journaling cards or whatever you want to do. So I apologize if I get a little bit off screen here, but this page is actually one of those ones that was a printable that I put some coffee dyed paper on the back of, and it's a really tall piece, and so I'm going to trim it down into kind of 2 different sections. One is going to be this larger top section. I need to end up trimming this a little bit because my trimmer got a little wonky, so I'm going to square that up a little bit, and then this piece I'm going to turn into a journaling card, and then this smaller piece is just the perfect size for a pocket. And so even though it's got coffee dyed paper on the back, I'm still just going to go ahead and make it into a pocket. So I did punch that off camera and round the corners, and I'm sorry you didn't see that, but I'm going to round all the corners on the journaling card just so that I remember that that's what I want to do with that. And that's basically all of the time that I had to create things. And so I did pull out a few things to decorate, just a few things. I only spent maybe 5 minutes on this part. And so I just thought I would show you just how I would decorate a couple of these pockets. So this one, there was that kind of open space up in the top right hand corner, which was perfect for this stamp. Whenever I have multi-level pockets like this, I don't tend to add a lot of ephemera and things to the pockets themselves because they're going to already fill up so much. And so I just added a couple Tim Holtz pieces down on the bottom section of that pocket. And then this journaling card, I have this ephemera piece and a little Tim Holtz, I believe it's a Tim Holtz ephemera piece as well. I'm just going to glue kind of over here on the bottom right corner. I want to put a label in the top left, but I'm going to wait until I actually put that in a journal to see what kind of label I want to add there. And then this was I can't remember if this is a Felicity Jane ephemera piece or if it's Simple Stories. At any rate, it's just from my stash. I've had it, it's been floating around my desk and my little to-do drawer forever. So I just put that in the bottom right-hand corner, and then again, I'll probably put a little label when I actually put that into a journal. And then this pocket, because it's got so many pockets, I just wanted something in the kind of that one little left corner, and that's basically all the time. I had to, like I said, about 5 minutes to do that, but here's kind of a quick look at all of the things that I created and then all of the extra pockets that are still waiting to be decorated. So if you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. All my links, including my Facebook group and my website, are in the description, and until next time, bye.